Today, Baba is talking about the willpower from the authority of experience. And this is something very interesting because I had never paid attention to it. So, Baba says, when you have the authority of experience, so one is knowing the list of all virtues that the soul has, or the list of powers that the soul has, or knowing what truth is, knowing what yoga is, or knowing what virtues are, or knowing how to do seva. But this other subject is being an authority of experience in it. Yes, and the simple method of experience is experimentation. So you have to experiment to experience. Knowledge. So we have the knowledge of virtues, knowledge of powers, knowledge of yoga, knowledge of seva, and knowledge of truth. But you have to put it into application. You have to apply it to yourself. You have to experiment with it. And then you become experienced. Yes. So Baba says that we have to make the effort to change knowledge into experience. Now just ask yourself, have I experienced that I am not this body? I am a soul. Have you experienced that I am the master? So you have to, this whole, whatever Baba is teaching us, all these are spiritual matters. And the laboratory in which they are experienced is the laboratory of silence. So you have to experiment with them in silence. You have to sit and churn on something until you start feeling it. Yes, so our mind has the capacity to change thought into a feeling. And that will happen when you think about something constantly. So just thinking about the truth that I am a soul and I am the master, and I have a choice over all my senses. If you sit and churn on this, then you start feeling or experiencing that yes, you are the master. That yes, you can be. When you experiment with this one thing, let's take, for example, that I'm the master of my senses, then what is the experience you will have? You will have the experience that in any amount of noise around you, in whatever you are seeing with the eyes, with your eyes open, you can stabilize yourself. You can stabilize yourself in whatever self-respect, whichever virtue, whichever power you want to. For example, I want to just sit in the self-honor that I am peaceful. And I have this knowledge that I am the master. I can choose my stage. And I sit and I try, I experiment to see if this is possible. And I sit in the experience of peace, in a very crowded setting for some time. And then what happens is you have what is called the authority of experience. So this is about one point. Yes, but with every point of knowledge, with every practice of yoga, you will become experienced. And then what happens when we become experienced? We have willpower. So when you when you understand that in a situation you should create this thought, this word, this act, or this should be your response, then you will be able to do that in that situation, because you don't have the doubt whether you will be able to do it or not, because you are experienced in that matter. You know that if I think that having the power to tolerate in this situation is the good idea, then you will be able to pull up the power to tolerate and be stable in that situation, because you have the authority of experience. You know that if you want to, you can, and it's possible. Yes, because you have done it many times. Yes, so if you deem fit in any situation that this needs to be done, or this is how the situation has to be handled, or you want to be loveful, for example, if you are experienced in the authority of love, then you can be loveful with anyone, despite their rudest behavior, because you know that love is my quality and I can be loveful as long as I want to be. So this is the authority of experience, and it gives you willpower. You know you can do whatever you want to do. Because you see, if you don't have the willpower, there's self-doubt that maybe I will try to. So, those who don't have willpower, they say, I will try to. Yes, but those who have willpower, they will say, I can because I want to. So there is no trying. If I think that, this is a good approach in any situation, any circumstance, I will apply it and do it. So that makes you somebody with great willpower. So whether it is, so if you have experience, so let me tell you one thing. So there is this one Mata, and she's into some religion in which they have long fasts. So they fast for 10 days, just at a stretch or something. So they have that practice, and she has done it since childhood. So one day, we were having a discussion, and so when she came into Gyan and she understood that, we have to have pure food and food cooked by ourselves and in remembrance of Baba, then I told her, then I asked her, is that a big pursharth for you? So she said, no, Didi, we can eat whatever we want, whenever we want, and however we want. Food is our choice. Even eating is our choice. So I said, I don't know that, but I know that the type of food you want to eat is your choice. But she said, no, Didi, even if you want to go without eating, that's also a choice. So I said, that I don't know, because I have not experimented with it. But you know it because you have experimented with it. So you understand that when somebody tells you that this you have to do, you have willpower, or in Brahmin life, nobody else tells us. But when we listen from Baba's Murli and we understand that we have to do this now, then I have complete willpower. I don't think that I'll try, I can't do it, maybe I can do it. So this authority of experience makes you someone with great willpower. And Baba says, you must keep experimenting every day, you have a lab of the mind. Keep experimenting, and you have a lab of your life also. So, every day you have to keep experimenting with whatever Baba tells you in the laboratory of your mind, and then apply it in the laboratory of your life. And when you keep doing that, you become the authority of experience. Yes, so for example, experienced in not taking offense, experienced in not taking things personally, experienced in not becoming hurt, experienced in having the ability to be full of good wishes and good feelings in all situations. You have to experiment with these things because Baba says that it is possible, it is the truth, it is actually the original design. This is how it was supposed to be. But then we have come very far away. So our sanskars are saying the contrary. Yes. So, for example, if you are on seva 16 hours a day, still you can be full of happiness, not tiredness. Yes. And sometimes you don't experiment because there's a lot of resistance from your sanskars. Yes. So until you experiment, you cannot resist, you cannot overcome those sanskars and come to the experience that it is possible. Yes, there was one brother and he was a businessman. He asked me, you people are like sleeping for maybe 5-6 hours or 4 hours every day. And then you are, how is it possible that you people can be, up and about and in good spirits and happy all day? It's not possible. You will feel tired, you will have a burnout. So I said, but are you talking from experience? Have you tried this? Yes, have you tried being up and about all the time, only sleeping 4-5 hours and doing it the way we do? Because we are not just what you see, there is inner practice also. So if you don't experiment with it, how do you know that this is possible? And we are talking from experience. We know that it is possible. Baba says that, sleep at 10, get up at Amrit Vela, and then all day you can be in Lokik Alokik Seva. And that's possible. So when Baba says something and you have faith in Baba, you have faith in what Baba says, and you experiment with it, then you become experienced. And until you experiment with it, you cannot become experienced that it is possible to be tireless, it is possible to be egoless, it is possible to be viceless. And then what happens is, because there is no experience, there is no authority. Even when you tell somebody, you share gyan, you don't have authority because you have not experimented and experienced it. So Baba says, it's my duty. This is something that I have to do for myself. Take anything that Baba says, any direction, and experiment with it and do it. Yes, and what happens is, why do we not do it? Because of the pull of Maya. So Maya will tell you, you can't do it. It's not possible. Maya will tell you, okay, maybe it's possible for the long-term practitioners. Maybe it's possible for those who are 30 years in Gyan. Maybe it's possible for those who live in the center. But it's not possible for you. And that's why all those people are getting experienced, but I'm not getting experienced because Maya is stopping me from experimenting. Yes. So those who are working, they have this block, mental block, that I can't get up at 3:30 in the morning and I can't do everything that Baba says because I'm working and I'm not like those who are not working. But if you have this mental block, then you don't experiment at all. You need to put the first step of experimentation, and then you will know that whatever Baba is telling me is true for me. I can do it. And it feels very light, very natural, very organic, because actually it's my original nature. Yes, Baba says you have the power to tolerate infinitely, or you have the power to. Baba even says that, even when the soul is leaving the body, still it is possible to not be pulled by the body. Yes, do you understand? Thus, the relationship of the soul and the body is the longest. Ever since you enter the womb, you are in this body. And then the soul leaves the body. And then Baba says that it is possible that you are not pulled by the body. You can leave the body in my remembrance without any sorrow or pain or anything, any experience. And here we say that I cannot handle hunger or, thirst or physical pain or some disease or, some discomfort. Once we had gone to an event. I'll share this experience with you. And in that event, they had seated us on the stage, and there was one mata with me and one sister and I. And those chairs, they were not very comfortable chairs. They were like rugged chairs and very unstable. So this mata said, I cannot sit on this chair. So she whispered into my ears, Didi, I can't sit on this chair. So I said, if you think you can't sit, sit uncomfortably for the whole time. So just say you can sit. Because we are not going and telling them to, change chairs at this time when we are already on the stage. So maybe, if we had checked on this earlier, it was possible, but not now. So just keep quiet and tell yourself, you did this 5,000 years ago, you can do it now. Okay, so just sit comfortably. So then she sat, and then on the way back, I asked her, so were you fine? Or was it too uncomfortable? So then she said, Didi, what? So I said, the chair. So she said, oh, that was fine. So just think about how, this one shift can change everything. So Baba says that experiment with these things. I'm not the body, drama, the point of drama. I did this 5,000 years ago, I can do it again. So, or, this experiment with every power, that I have the power to tolerate infinitely, to face anything and everything that comes my way without getting disturbed. So just experiment. I have the power to put all Srimad into practice. This is the biggest experiment we have to do. Because Baba is speaking to me, and Baba is never wrong. So he's not speaking to me by mistake. He's speaking to me by design. So obviously I can do what Baba says. So Baba says, when you become this authority of experience, then you have willpower. There is nothing that you think you can't do. Because you have experienced that you can do everything. And then Baba says, you can also make anybody content. Yes, how can you make anybody content by being an authority of experience? Because people have very small desires. Yes, but it is our inability to fulfill their desire, their expectation, which makes them discontent. Yes, and Baba says that if something is not against your maryada, if something is not about crossing your line of Srimad, then you can just, when you have the authority of experience and willpower, you can feel, you can understand what the other soul wants and just give it to them. And they will be content with that. So there is this one, sister, she's in Gyan, and she said that my boss always wants us to praise him. Okay. And that is why there is a problem in office. So I said, why? So she said, because nobody can constantly praise him. So I said, but why is that so difficult? If he wants to be praised, praise him. What is the problem with that? So she said, but Didi, sometimes you have to just... So I said, if you don't want to engage in false praise, he must be having good qualities also, na? So just praise him for what you think he deserves to be praised about. So then she said that, so then I'll be feeding his ego. So I said, what is your problem in feeding his ego? So your problem is not feeding his ego. Your problem is you are feeling egoistic about feeding his ego. So why is that such a big problem? Just give him what he wants. So she said, okay. So then from the next day, she started, feeling that, yes, he wants to hear this. So she said it. And then all the problems finished. That soul was content. And do you know, when somebody is discontent with you, what happens is there is a lot of energy wastage in that. Conflict, discontentment, it, it is a big source of energy wastage. So your mental energy is also, entangled there. You're always thinking about why that person is discontent with me. Yes. But if you just understood that there are very little things you need to do. For example, somebody says, just spend some time with me. Yes. Or, I've seen children, little children vying for their parents' attention. They are craving for parents' time. And parents are not giving that time. And they are always saying, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. And this child is growing up traumatized. Yes. So, how much time do you need to make somebody feel contented? Just some quality time, 5 minutes. If you just talk lovingly, made someone feel that I'm available. Baba says it's not necessary that you give a lot of time, but some quality time where you are in remembrance of Baba, you're fully present, you are in your loveful, giving, powerful state. That will make that soul content. And when you become experienced in all virtues, all powers, then it's not a big deal. You can do these little things. When we take the class for doctors, we always tell them that, every doctor is all going on rounds and seeing patients, right? So 1 minute of attention on the patient, not giving that vibration that I'm busy, but just this 1 minute that I'm here for you, I'm listening to you, and I am interested in what you're saying, and I'm interested in finding a solution to your concern. This 1 minute will give that patient contentment. So Baba says that making somebody content is about using a little love, a little tolerance, a little humility, a little sweetness. It is always about that. Making somebody content. The soul is so empty. It doesn't have big desires. Very little things make somebody content. But what happens is we keep saying this language, I can't be so tolerating, or I can't be so sweet. I can't always talk sweetly. But why can't you? What is the problem? Yes, why can't you be sweet? Why can't you be tolerating? Why can't you? And once you become experienced in the treasures that Baba gives you, this I can't will stop. And then you will be able to see what somebody wants, and then you will be able to give it and make somebody content. Yes, and when you make everyone content, then what you get is blessings. And those blessings, they smoothen your path of effort. Yes, and yes, of course, you have to note that you don't do anything against Srimad. So if somebody is asking you to give you time while you have a class, then just give them time before that or after that, but not during that. So when you have we say where there is a will, there is a way. So when you have willpower, you find the way. And when you find the way, then everybody is content. Where there is no willpower, then you can't find the way. You say, I can't. Not that I don't want to, I can't. And that is what gives rise to discontentment. So this is what Baba says about being an authority of experience. And when you become an authority of experience, then no obstacles can stop you. Because to cross every obstacle, you need either the power of discernment or decision making or tolerance or power to face or, some power. Every obstacle requires a different power. Yes, so in some you have to face, in some you have to tolerate, In some, you have to discern and decide and finish its effect. So, if you are experienced in every power, then no obstacle can, stay in your life, because it's like, you have the a whole access to all the medicines. Then no illness can stay because you know which medicine to apply and get healed. So this is one thing. And then Baba today primarily is talking about being, being the one who has the discus of self-realization, being the spinner of the discus of self-realization, being a Swadarshan Chakradhari. And Baba is saying that being a Swadarshan Chakradhari means that Baba has given us the knowledge of the beginning, middle, and end of the drama. Yes, so do you believe the knowledge of the drama 100%? Yes, so yesterday I was giving the course to someone, and all along, the chapter of the soul, the chapter of Baba, 3 worlds, Baba's coming into Brahma Baba's body, they were completely, yes, 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 this is true. And then when we were doing the chapter of drama, they asked me just one question, Didi. So I said, yes. So then they said, Ki, Didi, you have 100% faith Satyug was there. So I said, yes, I have 100% faith, but it doesn't matter how much faith I have. What matters is, do you think that this is possible? So she said, I don't know. Today, all of a sudden, I feel very bizarre about this, that, what is this Satyug and all? And will there be Satyug, or was there Satyug? So then they started talking about that. And then I said, you have to think about it. So Baba has given this knowledge of the drama, and that there was Satyug, then Treta Yug, then Dwapar, then Kali Yug, and then now it's confluence age, and we are going back to Satyug. And you see that knowledge is embedded inside us. So we have forgotten it. So when you rotate this knowledge all the time, then what you start remembering it. And what doesn't make sense to you today will start making sense. Have you seen those people who lose memory? So when they lose their memory of what was, then you keep reminding them, and one day they remember. So here Baba says, I am reminding you every day, but then you also have to rotate this discus of self-realization every day. Think about the knowledge of drama that Baba has given you. And then slowly that knowledge will start emerging from inside. And you will start having this feeling that this is not knowledge, this is the truth. And when you have that, then what is the sign? The sign is you will start giving up on vices. Yes, and most children are not Swadarshan Chakradhari. Most children are not realizing that, I was in Satyug, now I am with Baba, I have to go back to Satyug. So this is a knowing, but it's not a realization. Because if you had the realization, then what you would do is you will renounce the vices. Because now you know that you have to go to Satyug and those vices can't serve you there. So you don't ask how I will leave them. You know you have to leave them anyway. So all this, all these tantrums that we throw, how can I leave vices? This is a reason why I can't. This is the problem. This is the situation. This is because we are not practicing rotating the Swadershan Chakra, and we don't have the dharana of the knowledge of drama. And when you have that, you will leave the vices instantly. So have you heard that story that there was a village in which there was a famine, and then everybody prayed to God that God give us rain, and they conducted a havan or yagya for that. And then in that havan, everybody came, and then a small child also came. And that child was holding an umbrella. So then everybody asked, "It's a famine. Why are you holding an umbrella?" So the child said, "But we are doing it for the rain, na? So it will rain. So once the yagya is finished, then it will rain. So then I should have an umbrella." So the only one who had faith was the child. So everybody was doing it, but they didn't have faith. They were not preparing. So, when you have faith on the knowledge of the drama, then the sign is you will prepare for the future. You know that this is a drama which is, every second of the drama is slipping away, and every new second is coming every second. And now I'm slowly moving towards Satyug. And this is, just like Baba always says, that the drama moves like an ant. And the ant is now moving into Satyug. So now I have to prepare to go to Satyug. And Baba says, I have not told you to leave the house or anything. I never told even Brahma Baba to leave the house. So Baba says, all you have to do is you have to pay attention to finishing the burden of sins by being in my remembrance, and you have to pay attention to renouncing vices. And those who have faith in the knowledge of the drama, and you will have faith when you churn the Swadershan Chakra. Baba has given us the knowledge that, this was Satyug, this was Treta Yuga, every detail about Satyug, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga, Baba gives us. But you have to churn it into your intellect. And if you do that, then you will have faith that I'm going back to Satyug. And the sign will be you will pay attention to Baba's remembrance and pay attention to renouncing the vices. Okay, Om Shanti. Anybody wants to share anything, please do.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Initially, when we were listening to Gyan, Murli of Baba, then it was a little bit difficult to believe on that stage of Satyug. And anyways, but one belief was there that if Baba is saying something, then definitely it is true.
Yes.
Why I am not able to believe it.
Correct.
But still when I continued doing my classwork, my homeworks, and practice Swadershan Chakra, 5 Swarups of soul, I found that my faith increased on that.
Correct.
And now it's very easy to believe that, yes, I am going there.
Yes.
I am the one Baba is hoping for.
Yes, yes. And that's the method.
And yes, by doing only we can, by experimenting only we can experience it.
Yes, yes.
And it's now very much easy. And in yoga also, when we sit in that state of soul consciousness and facing all the problems during that yoga, we get power during work also, in communication also. This also comes in experience that yes, I can be happy and silent even if someone is rudest or not responding.
Yes,
properly.
Because when you are in remembrance of Baba, you draw powers. So then that gives you the authority that you can. Yes. So this is the way. Anybody else wants to share anything? Please do.
Didi, I wanted to ask one thing.
Yes.
For people who are not in Gyan and who have a very less willpower and they keep saying that I can't do it in general things in life, how do we help them who are not willing to go to the center also and they keep saying that I can't do it, for things like, for probably a person who is a diabetic, they can't leave sugar, if they say like that, or they can't get up in the morning for meditation. So what do we tell them? How do we help them?
See, the first thing is, you don't have to be affected by their not choosing what you think is the right thing to do. Okay? So suppose, suppose, let me give you an example. Suppose my father is a diabetic, okay? And then he's taking sugar. Okay, so then what happens is, because I have attachment, I will start feeling that this is wrong. And then the first thought is, you will get more ill if you do this. Okay, now I'm a Brahmin, my thoughts will become things. So one is, I am saying I want to help that soul, but I am sabotaging that soul in that process. Okay, so you have to understand that the first thing to be a teacher is to remain detached. If you want to teach anything to anybody, first is be detached, and when you are detached, you can have good feelings and good wishes. And then whatever you say will have power. So when you are in that powerful state, even when you say that just for now, don't have this, I will prepare something better for you and we will eat it together, that soul will listen to you, because you are not speaking from a place of depleted energy, you're speaking from a place of strength. So when we want to be a teacher for somebody, first thing is detachment and full of good wishes and good feelings. So only then anybody, if you are judgmental, if you are in that state, you are wrong, you are doing wrong, you can never teach anything to anybody. Okay, so then what you say, whatever you say, any little step also, that will work. Okay, Om Shanti. Anybody else wants to share anything? No, that's all. So, Nirmal Bhai, yes, please.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Yeah, today Baba say, Sri Baba has come and teaching us and giving the knowledge. Therefore, Baba said that you, in your intellect, you have all the knowledge what I have, you have. Therefore, Baba said that we have to churn the knowledge, because according to this, half the cycle is knowledge, half the cycle is devotion. Therefore, when we have that one and churning the knowledge, then we are able to experience the stages we have. That's what I felt, that we should be able to, in our day-to-day life, we have to take a stage. What is a stage we are having at this point, and then we have to just churn on that one. I think we are able to pick up or experience that sort of stage. That's what I felt.
Okay.
I just want to check up whether that is right.
That's true. That's different. Right. That's right. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Om Shant. Okay, fine. So this question is it okay to be quiet all the time and feeding other person's ego and not caring about your own self-esteem? No, but the thing is, in the example I gave, there is no question of your self-esteem. They are not saying anything rude to you. They just want to hear praise. That's not a problem, right? But if somebody is insulting you, yes, or somebody is saying something rude to you, then you can draw the boundary if you can in a place. For example, so let's say there's a boss who is always being rude or commenting badly on something, then what you can do is think about how you can put a full stop to that. But if you can't, then at least be in Swaman and don't take sorrow. Yes, because mostly in such situations where people are operating out of ego and causing insult, in those situations, we don't have much sway over putting a full stop on their behavior. So then what you do is care about your self-esteem, be in self-esteem, and you don't have to do anything, either feed or do anything about it, but just be in self-esteem and don't take sorrow. But in the example I gave, that was not the case. So that person was not rude or insulting. They were just wanting to be praised. And that was a small thing to give, because it was harmless for you. It was, it made them happy and it didn't cost you anything. So these two things are different. Okay. Om Shanti.